I want to ask you something, and I want you to think about it honestly. When did you last feel genuinely sharp? Like fully present, clear-headed, motivated, where things just felt a bit easier than usual?
For a lot of people, that version of themselves feels pretty distant, and the explanation they've settled on is usually something like, I'm just tired, I'm getting older, it's stress, life is busy.
And I'm not saying those things aren't real, but there's another possibility that rarely comes up in those conversations, and it has to do with something happening at a biological level inside your brain.
Over the next few minutes, I want to walk you through what researchers are finding about one particular nutrient and the role it plays in how the brain actually functions. Not in a take this and feel amazing kind of way, in a more honest, more interesting way. Let's get into it. Before we get into the specific nutrient, I want to give you a brief update on how scientists now understand mood and mental health, because it's changed a lot in the last decade, and most people are working with outdated information. The old story was, depression is a shortage of serotonin. Your brain runs low on this chemical, you feel depressed, antidepressants top it back up. Problem solved. Simple. That story isn't wrong exactly, but it's very incomplete. The more current picture is that depression and persistent low mood are often less about a single chemical running low and more about the brain losing its ability to maintain, repair, and adapt itself.
Your brain is not static. It's constantly growing new connections, pruning old ones, repairing damage, and regulating its own chemistry. Researchers call this neuroplasticity, the brain's flexibility. And when that flexibility breaks down, things start to go wrong. There's a protein in the brain that acts like a kind of repair crew foreman. It signals the brain to grow new connections, recover from stress, and maintain the areas that regulate mood and memory. When that protein is in short supply, which happens during chronic stress, poor sleep, and certain nutrient deficiencies, the brain slowly starts to lose its resilience. Why does this matter for what we're about to talk about? Because one of the things researchers have found is that vitamin D appears to directly support this repair process, and that connection is much stronger than most people realize. Most people know vitamin D is connected to bones. Some have heard it's related to immunity. What very few people know is that your brain has its own dedicated receptors for vitamin D, specifically in the areas that handle mood, memory, and how you respond to stress. That means your brain is specifically designed to use this nutrient. It's not a side effect, it's a primary relationship. Vitamin D helps regulate the enzyme your brain uses to produce serotonin. When levels are low, that production process appears to slow down. Less serotonin gets made. And since serotonin influences how calm, stable, and motivated you feel, that matters for your day-to-day experience. But there's a newer piece of the story that I think is even more interesting. A large recent review of studies spanning more than a decade found that vitamin D appears to support the production of that brain repair protein we just talked about. The research found that supplementing at adequate doses for a few months was associated with measurable improvements in mood scores and modest but real increases in that repair protein. That's not a dramatic turnaround, but in the context of brain repair, it's meaningful. The same body of research found that each small improvement in vitamin D blood levels was associated with a lower likelihood of depressive symptoms, particularly when the repair protein levels were already healthy. Now, I want to be clear, this doesn't mean vitamin D is a cure for depression or that every person who feels low is simply deficient. The brain is complex, and depression has many causes. But what this research does suggest is that low vitamin D can make the brain more vulnerable, less able to bounce back from stress, less able to maintain the systems that regulate mood. Here's a piece of this that I find genuinely fascinating. Your brain has its own immune system. It has cells that normally sit quietly in the background, cleaning up waste and watching for problems.
In a healthy brain, you never really notice them. But under chronic stress, or when key nutrients are consistently low, these cells shift into a defensive mode. They start releasing signals that put the whole brain on alert.
And here's what makes this so relevant to how you feel. When that happens, your brain can start behaving as though you're physically sick, even when you're not. It produces the same response your body uses during a bad flu. You want to withdraw, stay in bed, lose interest in things, feel heavy and unmotivated. You stop caring about things that normally matter to you.
From the inside, that feels exactly like low mood or depression, but the driver is your brain's immune system, not your emotional state.
A large U.S. study, the kind that tracks a broad, nationally representative sample of adults over time, found a consistent association between lower vitamin D levels and higher rates of depressive symptoms. That association held even after accounting for other variables. And one of the proposed pathways in that research was exactly this. Vitamin D plays a role in keeping the brain's immune response balanced. When it's low, the system tips toward that defensive, inflamed state.
Vitamin D doesn't switch this off like a light switch, but adequate levels appear to help keep the immune cells in their normal, quiet state, and that has downstream effects on how you feel.
So, how common is this actually? A large analysis pooling results from multiple studies, covering tens of thousands of participants, found a significant association between vitamin D deficiency and depressive symptoms in older adults. And while older adults are at higher risk, low vitamin D is common across all age groups, especially if your lifestyle fits any of these patterns. You work indoors most of the day. That's most people. You live above a certain latitude, roughly above Atlanta in the US, where from October to April, the sun's angle is too low for your skin to produce vitamin D, even on clear days.
This is called the shadow rule. If your shadow is longer than you are tall, you're not making vitamin D from that sun exposure.
You have darker skin. Melanin, the pigment that gives skin its color, naturally filters UV rays, which means people with darker skin tones need significantly more sun exposure to produce the same amount of vitamin D.
This isn't a flaw, it's a biological feature shaped by geography, but it does mean that in environments with limited sun, the gap gets significant. You spend a lot of time on screens indoors, eat mostly processed food, and don't pay much attention to the specific vitamins and minerals your body needs. That describes a large portion of the population. The thing about vitamin D deficiency is that it develops slowly and silently. There's no dramatic onset. It's more like the volume on a radio being turned down very gradually, so gradual that you don't notice until things feel noticeably flat and quiet. So what can you actually do? First, and this keeps coming up because it genuinely matters, get tested. A simple blood test tells you where you actually are. Without that number, you're guessing. And guessing with supplementation can occasionally cause its own problems if you go too high. When you get your result, ask for the actual number, not just normal or not deficient. Standard testing cutoffs are set to prevent bone disease, which is a different target than what researchers looking at brain and immune health tend to work with. Many in that space focus on levels somewhere around 40 to 60, though guidelines vary, and this is worth discussing with your doctor rather than self-directing. On the food side, fatty fish is still the highest yield option. Salmon, sardines, mackerel, egg yolks, and fortified foods contribute smaller amounts. The mushroom trick from our last video still applies. Fresh mushrooms placed in direct midday sun for 15 to 60 minutes genuinely do accumulate vitamin D, and it stays stable in the fridge. If you supplement, two things matter alongside the D itself. Magnesium, because without it, the conversion from inactive to active vitamin D slows down significantly, meaning your blood levels might look fine, but your body isn't actually using it efficiently. And vitamin K2, which helps direct the extra calcium that vitamin D promotes into your bones, where it belongs. One practical shift worth making, regardless of supplements, time outside in natural light. Not necessarily direct sun on bare skin for long periods, just being outdoors during daylight hours, particularly around midday, when the type of sunlight needed to trigger vitamin D production is actually present. Even on cloudy days, outdoor light is meaningfully brighter than indoor light and helps regulate the biological rhythms that affect mood and sleep. It's not a replacement for adequate blood levels, but it costs nothing and has no downside. Here's where I want to land on all of this. Vitamin D is not a cure for depression. It's not a substitute for therapy or medication or addressing the life circumstances that are making things hard. But it is a nutrient that your brain specifically needs, not as a side player, but as an active participant in how your brain repairs itself, regulates mood chemistry, and keeps its immune response from going into overdrive.
And because it's so commonly low in modern indoor-heavy lifestyles, and because its deficiency is so quiet and gradual, it's one of the most overlooked pieces of the mental well-being puzzle.
If you've been feeling flat, foggy, or low for a while, and you haven't checked your vitamin D levels, that's worth doing. It's a straightforward thing that might tell you something genuinely useful. In the next video, we're going to look at the rest of the team, the B vitamins, magnesium, and the gut connection, because vitamin D is only part of the story.
If this was useful, share it with someone who's been going through a rough patch and can't figure out why. And I'd love to hear in the comments, did anything here surprise you? See you in part 2.